Hi, this is a question both locally and I guess nationally, but in addition to that, what can we do locally to influence it? You've mentioned already around policy, around making it easier to give and stripping back bureaucracy and red tape. What can be done to remove some of the barriers that currently exist for individuals and groups to contribute more to big society? A couple of examples around commissioning, lack of clarity, decision-making, timeframes shifting. Can we move with CRBs to a system of CRB passports so people don't have to get individual CRB checks for every organisation they volunteer with? An example from private sector, what can we do around public liability insurance to enable professionals within firms where they're not their primary profession to give their time on a pro bono basis?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of making it easier to give, I think, you know, to be honest, those proposals I touched on, you know, they're filtering their way through in terms of legislation. Government's very keen at looking at this, and there are examples. In terms of commissioning and time frames, it depends whether you're looking at a national or a local situation, and obviously locally, Jan or Deborah would be able to comment from, you know, Bristol City Council or the NHS perspective. I know the CRBs, there's been a big review about CRBs, and I think passports has been a proposal. Again, it's working its way through and it is being addressed. As an audience, you know, me saying these things are all being looked at is not a particularly helpful answer, but they are all being recognised and are being looked at, and the exact timescales of all these filtering through, I can't give you the exact answer, but they will be coming out.
Yeah, I mean, I would just add to that, and I think we welcome the fact that some of these things, you know, are passportable, because it helps us all in terms of, you know, some flexibility and movement, particularly in the market. I think other issues that you're talking about, things like timescales for commissioning, well, again, it depends on what we are commissioning, because actually when you get into some very big exercises in the procurement territory, there are EU rules that govern it, not just, you know, national rules, and they have particular constraints around the timescales that we've got no choice but to abide by. Sometimes local commissioning, and there's a balance, isn't there, between trying to get it done quickly so there's certainty, but actually giving enough time so you go through proper, thorough consultation processes and making sure you're robust about it. It's quite difficult sometimes on the timescales, and also marrying it to budgets, because we've also got to align those with our budget cycles as well. So I accept the point that sometimes it's not that straightforward, but I think, you know, we are looking to see how we can get that right to make them as short as possible at the same time as being robust and in making sure we can include feedback around specifications to make sure we get them right for the end user. There isn't an easy answer to it.
Deborah, did you want to add anything to that?
Well, I suppose a couple of things on the commissioning, really. I think we've certainly had feedback in the past about the importance of letting people know well in advance that opportunities are going to come up, and we try and do that. We've also had feedback about the whole thing about preparing organisations to understand what the processes are going to be like and what they're going to require, and again we've done that, and there's, I think, another there's one coming up, I think, in preparation for the commissioning of the Men's Crisis House. Again, I think we're doing it through the Care Forum, and it's spending time with organisations that are interested, talking through the process, so I think that's right. There's also something, and again we've had clear feedback on this, about not being too bureaucratic about things when they're for small amounts of money, because I think the health service can make a bureaucracy out of anything. So I think there is something about getting the balance right sometimes, isn't there? And again, we've tried to take that feedback on board with what we're doing.